Shalom and welcome to another episode in our series called Israel on Location. Today we're visiting Chorazin. It's located on the northwest corner of the Sea of Galilee. Korazin, or Korazim as it's sometimes also pronounced, was one of these cities condemned by Jesus, actually. Matthew 11 records that. But it's a very interesting site. Most of the ruins that you see behind me as we walk here are from the 3rd century AD. So they're not quite from the time of Jesus. However, there certainly was a city here during the time of Jesus. In fact, as we walk into the synagogue later, we'll take a look at that and talk about that more specifically. Let me show you a classic ritual bath. This is a really neat one displayed here. In fact, it has a cover there, a roof, if you will. And this particular ritual bath was used for purification. You can see the steps going down into it. This is actually filled with water. But a good example of a ritual bath called a miqve. You can see the plaster on the left wall, and this would have been used to ceremonially purify people. You would have immersed completely. The Talmud says it had to be clear enough to see your hand and every cavity of your body immersed. So lepers or blind people or demon-possessed outcasts who Jesus healed and delivered would have then had to present themselves to the priest and then would have, of course, purified themselves. But I would say overall the site is somewhat impressive with the reconstructed walls of the marketplace and different houses. You just saw the miqve, but let's walk into the synagogue and talk more about that as well. We're walking on the outside of the synagogue as we see it reconstructed. Once again, these ruins are from the 3rd century AD. And yet well preserved and well reconstructed to give us an idea of the size of the synagogue and certainly the orientation of it. This is from the 3rd century, and as we're walking in, you can see the columns that would have supported the roof. And even the Moses seat that we see here. Let me just go over there and take a look with you. This particular Moses seat again, was a seat that was reserved for maybe the official, maybe the attendant in the synagogue. The synagogue's purpose at this point was to read Torah and to teach it. But it's interesting that Matthew 23 actually mentions this Moses seat. And there it is. You can see how comfortable it would have been, but the primary leader of the synagogue, maybe the teacher, maybe the reader of the law would have used this seat. This is, of course, a replica, and the real one is displayed in the Israel Museum. So as we walk around the parameter of this synagogue, we can see how well maintained it is. And again, the high roof that would have been covered with a ceiling. And synagogues are numerous here, especially in the Galilee. There must be at least 30 or so just in the Galilee from what we call the Talmudic period, pretty much the 3rd through the 7th century AD. But back in the days of Jesus, this city, Chorazin, was one of the 3 that was condemned for their unbelief. Bethsaida, the home of Peter, Andrew, and Philip, was one, and even, believe it or not, Capernaum, where Jesus made his home base. So here in Korazim, we can walk around these ruins and especially in this synagogue. Now, during COVID, they did excavate to lower levels. I'm sort of disappointed that they did not preserve maybe a corner of the lower level. And based on the pottery, it is suggested that the lower level of the synagogue was 1st century, which means that was the synagogue in the time of Jesus. So no doubt Jesus taught here and visited this site. So thanks for hanging out today, and let's just take a brief last look at the area. Now we're a little bit from the Sea of Galilee. Chorazin is located on the northwest corner of the lake and higher up from the lake. It's not like Bethsaida or Capernaum, which was, of course, right on the shoreline. But we can see the surrounding area. This is a very hilly area, as you can see behind me as well. So Chorazin, people heard the message of Jesus here. Some, no doubt, became followers, and most did not, unfortunately. But thanks to the archaeologists who have uncovered these ruins, even though they do date to the 3rd century, we can appreciate their efforts and connect with the New Testament, and specifically with the life and ministry of Jesus. Here again is the entrance into this synagogue. So thanks for hanging out once again, and until next time, shalom.